Hello, it's Toaster Party, and today I'm going to talk about what my picks are for the 5 best March of the Machine Aftermath spoiler cards for Pioneer and Standard. So this has been unexpected. We had over half of March of the Machine Aftermath spoiled today, and while I'm not sure this was something that was intentional by Wizards of the Coast, I figured that in honor of the unexpected spoilers, I would do a list for 2 unexpected formats, that being Pioneer and Standard. And don't worry, the video is not going to be too long because the list is the exact same for both. So let's move on to the list proper, starting things off with number 5, Markov Baron. For 2 generic and a black, you get a Vampire Noble with Convoke, Lifelink, other vampires you control get +1/+1, and Madness for 2 generic and a black. It is also a 2/2. So this is another Lord effect for a relevant creature type. It has 2 relevant keywords, that being Convoke and Lifelink. Convoke meaning it's going to come down on turn 2 with help of stuff like Voldaren Epicure, and Lifelink being both generically good and pretty good with some specific vampire cards. It also has Madness, which provides a bit of additional upside against Format All-Star, Liliana of the Veil. Let's move forward now to number 4, Reckless Handling. For generic and a red, you get a sorcery that says search your library for an artifact card, reveal that card, put it in your hand, shuffle your hand, then discard a card at random. If an artifact card was discarded this way, Reckless Handling deals 2 damage to each opponent. So this is a gamble for artifacts. I'm seeing this being used most often as a pseudo mono red entomb, because currently there's a number of good reanimation spells in both formats, with even more coming out in this set. And even if the card you were trying to entomb for ends up in your hand, Fable of the Mirror Breaker or a Blood Token can quickly bin it. As far as Pioneer decks that probably want this, the first thing that comes to mind is Mardu Greasefang. Let's move forward now to number 3 with Gerina Dauntless General. For white and a black, you get a legendary creature human soldier with whenever Gerina enters the battlefield, exile target's player's graveyard. You can also sacrifice Gerina to make humans you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. It is also a 2/2. So this is a heroic intervention on legs that also has the additional upside of wiping out the graveyard in a format where the graveyard is currently very relevant for both Pioneer and Standard. It also has a very relevant creature type for both formats. You no longer have to play Selfless Spirit, as now you have a tribal synergistic one in Gerina. Let's move forward now to number 2, Danitha, New Benalia's Light. For a generic in Selesnya, you get a legendary human knight that has Vigilance, Trample, and Lifelink. And also, once during each of your turns, you may cast an Aura Equipment spell from your graveyard. It is also a 2/2. So this is basically a Lurrus effect for auras and equipments. There's also a lot of enchantment and aura support in both Standard and Pioneer right now. It also, on top of all of that, has plenty of relevant keywords on top of its already very powerful ability. Something to consider also is that Light Pause is legal in both formats, so if you're able to get both of those online, you have a pretty fair shot at winning the game. But let's move on to number 1, Coppercoat Vanguard. For generic and a white, you get a human soldier that says each other human you control gets +1/+0 and has Ward 1. It is also a 2/2. So this card is being printed into the same standard as Thalia and Adeline. Let that sink in for a second. So this card has on it both a protection effect and a little anthem effect for an extremely aggressive cost. In formats where targeted removal is far more common than board wipes, this card is going to be incredibly powerful. I think that this card also has a pretty fair shot of not just seeing play in Pioneer and Standard, but all the way up to Modern as well. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you all have an excellent day.